What's up, guys? Welcome back to Roensch Capital Charts. Today we're taking a look at Palantir Technologies, ticker symbol PLTR, on a variety of time frames in anticipation of the next trading day, Thursday, February 15th. Well, Palantir stock here today, a pretty good day, up, $1.18 a share, 4.91%. Relatively flat in the after hours, up about 11 cents here. Again, as always, take after hours with a grain of salt. Reason being, volume very low. But let's take a look here on Palantir, starting by zooming in on the 1 minute chart. Hey, listen, if you appreciate me covering Palantir, you like these videos each and every day, please subscribe to the channel. Again, our goal is 1,000 in the next like 10 days or so, and I think we can hit that with your help, so I appreciate it. So taking a look here at Palantir on the 1 minute chart here for intraday opportunity, help potentially generate some revenue around a core position. So we see here, you had this reasonable rejection set up. However, things got a little too tight, at least for me. I'm sure you had some traders trying to fade this move up into that 2 standard deviation volume weighted average price band. For me, it was a little tight. It wasn't quite clean enough. So I had to look away from Palantir, at least intraday, after we saw that this kind of region, early, mid-morning more so. And then you move on here. We got a lot of consolidation and kind of just a slow grind higher throughout the rest of the day. And for my intraday opportunity, I looked elsewhere here today, but great day from Palantir nonetheless, 4.91%. Let's take a look at the 5 minute chart and start getting contextual with volume, because we have a big upside move here, 2 of them really, to take a look at. And what's really interesting, we actually saw pretty reasonable volume here, maintaining on that upside green move, right? And then we saw that fade, and that fade was pretty low volume. And then on this next upside move toward what was the intraday high then, we saw increasing volume, okay? Listen, if you're a bull, to me, that's a good sign. Again, bigger sample size, agreeing that Palantir in that moment belonged higher. More and more participants willing to offer the stock up, okay? And then when you see those fades, you see volume, almost like cut in half to a degree here, at least on some of those bars. So, listen, if you're a bear, you ideally would have wanted to see that happen opposite. But again, this is just one factor of many here. So let's take a look and get really contextual here with the day-to-day self-fulfilling prophecy levels. That 50 period, the white line, and that 200 period. You can see here that, we talked about this yesterday. We reclaimed here today. That was exactly what the bulls were looking for today. Reclaimed it on the first 30-minute candle of the morning, powering through that 50 period moving average here. And you can see here that we are now sitting approximately 2.6% about above that area. So listen, if you're a bull here, looking at the 30-minute chart in particular, you're going to want to see, ideally not necessarily a retest, ideally just let that moving average come up to the stock, close that gap. But if we do see a retest, you'd obviously want to see that hold as support there. Okay, if you're a bear, it's pretty clear here on the 30-minute, you're looking for a downside break of, not only that 50 period, but being that 200 period is kind of nearby here. It's less than 5%. Really, if you're a bear, you're looking for a downside break of the 50 and the 200 period here on the 30-minute in as near of the future as possible. So let's move on here to the 4-hour chart. And if we take a look here, again, you can see that 50 period is down at about 21.75. That's a move. That's 14% to the downside. We discussed yesterday in the Palantir video, again, I've been covering Palantir every single day, that really from a bullish perspective, since that 50 period was not immediately relevant, I was ideally looking forward to move upside just as quickly as possible. And what's actually really interesting here is, since we covered this last night, that was Tuesday night, the 50 period has moved up 4%. So it moved up almost as much as the stock did today, which is highly impressive. It's really ascending quickly, and that's what I want to see, right? At least from a bullish perspective, you're going to want to see that thing move higher, and like I always say, right, get some feet up under this big move that we've had that started off of earnings, back in earlier February here. But again, if you're a bear here, ideally you'd like to see the ascending rate of that 50 period here on the 4-hour slow, because you always want as much room as possible between the stock price and the nearest highly popular moving average, in this case the 50 period, that white line, to ideally put some doubt in the minds of more midterm traders, right? Because bears, they always want to see a stock like this hovering. If it makes a big move, they want a big potential drop creeping into people's heads. Whereas if you start getting psychological levels moving upside, it starts to kind of discourage a lot of bears, because you end up adding more and more potential psychological support regions. But bulls here on the 4-hour, just keep getting that thing moving upside as quickly as possible, and that'll be beautiful. So let's take a look now at the daily. This is arguably the most important chart here, and let's zoom in. Really big deal here today, guys. Remember we were talking last night, it'd be great to see us reclaim 25 bucks a share. Well, we did that here today, closing 25.19. Okay, now that was a move, but Palantir pulled it off here today. So looking ahead to tomorrow, here's what I'm looking for. From a bullish perspective, ideally, right, even if we see a retest of 25, gonna want to see that rip up out of the hole, treating that as a hard area of support. Make our way up through that 25.50, 25.53 recent high that we've seen, and start making our way up to the next whole number, 26. Okay? If you're a bear, this gets really simple. What you didn't want to happen kind of happened today. So ideally, if you're bearish on Palantir, big fade down through 25, off 25 as a resistance, not allowing a new recent high, and fading back down toward 23 bucks a share is going to be what you're looking for if you're a bear here tomorrow. Taking a look at the bias in the chain, good sample size. 805,000 total contracts traded here today. 500,000 of those were calls. 305,000 of those were puts. So we are seeing some bullish bias here, call bias, in the chain today on Palantir. Not uncommon. We've been seeing that a lot as of late. If we look at the short-term speculators, actually a little bit more undecided. You have 85,000 calls in that 0 to 20 delta range, and 92,000 puts in that same range there. But if we head down here to the 61 to 80 delta range and the 81 to 100 delta range, right, those in the money and deep in the money contracts, you can see here heavy call bias, especially that 81 to 100, those deep in the money contracts. Look at that, 61,000 calls, 1,592 puts. A ridiculous call bias on those deep in the money contracts. But hey, as always, again, number one around here, manage your risk. The options traders can, of course, be wrong. Appreciate you guys. Again, hope to see you subscribe to the channel. I'm uploading multiple videos here on the Roensch Capital Charts channel every single day. And I'll see you in the next one.